Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews, and today we are taking a look at the new album from Vinyl Theater titled STARCRUISER. Let's get to it. Vinyl Theater is a band I really enjoy. I actually got to see them live opening for Vespertine, and it was a really good show. They did an incredible job, and prior to that, I was not really sold on their music, but after seeing them live, it just started to click with me. And yes, I don't think everything they put out is just top notch. It's not to say anything's really bad. It's just not at the standard that some of their music is. So, I was looking forward to this album. It was one that I was looking forward to until I heard the lead single, which Feel It All technically came out first, but it wasn't really like promoting the album. The first song to promote the album was Masterpiece. And it just wasn't clicking with me. It's not a bad song. It's just not that great. It never really clicked with me. So I kind of started not being as excited about it. I was like, oh, this might not be that good. And I did know that the band was actually getting to make their own style of music now because they left Fueled by Ramen and they said, this is the music that we want to make. And when I heard Masterpiece, I said, that's a pretty big departure from their sound. And I'm not sure if it's a sound that I like and one that I think actually really works with them. But then we got STARCRUISER, and all of those problems that I had with Masterpiece are not present at all. This album is incredible. Honestly, the best in their discography. Out of everything they put out, this album is solid through and through. And ironically, I think the worst song on this album is Masterpiece. It's honestly a really solid album. Masterpiece, like I said, was a weak song. But besides that, this album is incredible, and I really do like it. It has so many interesting sounds on it. And honestly, while they said it's a departure from their sound, it's still there. Their sound is still there. It may be a little different, yeah, but it's still there. It still sounds reminiscent of Electrogram or Origami, and so it does stay true for fans that actually really do like the band and aren't just going to follow them blindly. And so it really did work. And hey, they produced this album and wrote this album by themselves. They weren't even with Fueled by Ramen anymore. So they got to have pretty much complete creative freedom. And that's great. And we see that this band actually really knows what they're doing once they get to take the reins. It's a really solid album, and I cannot stress that enough. Just the fact that they got to make the album they want to make is noticeable and really good. And while Masterpiece is the worst song, the last 4 tracks are probably the weakest, but that being said, it doesn't really make them bad. Done With These Days, Dream of Me, and Hold Me Down, yeah, they're mediocre, they're fine, they're not anything amazing, but you can't have a full out, you can't always have just a perfect release. And while yes, obviously that does still matter, that 4 songs are not amazing, that is saying that every other song on this album is extremely top notch. It's not just, this is good, this is incredible. It really is a good pop indie sounding album, and it does work really well. There's so many different sounds. Vandals is a little more acoustic and a little more indie sounding, and then we get songs like Feel It All, which obviously has some pretty similar ties to 21 Pilots, the more alternative sound, but it doesn't make it bad. It's honestly still really catchy and really fun regardless of the ties to 21 Pilots. And there's just so much texture in this album. I mentioned Vandals has an acoustic-y feel. It's not because it's an acoustic ballad or finger-picked song. No, it's because it's got an acoustic guitar that's going in the background that gives so much texture to that chorus. It really does work well. It's a really excellent sound. The whole song is definitely more synthy indie sound, but that acoustic guitar gives it so much texture. And they do this throughout the whole album, being really creative, either with instruments or productions. And that's not to mention the lyrics, which are actually pretty good. We hear some really biting and interesting commentary from King Collins, the lead singer, and it really does work. It works excellently. Now, as I said, there can be some pretty obvious ties to 21 Pilots, especially in Our Song and Feel It All. Those songs definitely can be a little similar to 21 Pilots, but honestly, I think Vinyl Theater pulls it off a lot better than 21 Pilots does. I don't despise 21 Pilots, but I've never really got into them. But Vinyl Theater pulls off that more the rap style of alternative synth-heavy songs. And really makes it work a lot better. Keegan has a better voice, in my opinion, and they have a better flow, better lyricism. And I really do think that they do an excellent job at making that style their own. I would not, despite the obvious ties, I wouldn't really say that it's a 21 Pilots ripoff. I think that they completely establish themselves in these songs, and that's important when songs do sound kind of similar. The ebbs and flows of this album work perfectly. Once you hit a high, you get a little break, a little emotional break, and sometimes those highs just keep on going. It works perfectly. It flows from one song to another seamlessly and works really well. And I don't mean that as in you can listen to this album straight and it sounds as one track. No, I don't mean that. It's seamless. It doesn't ever feel abrupt in a different style or tone in the music. But yet there are a lot of different tempos and a lot of different tones in this album. And it works so well. I really do have nothing but positive things to say. As I said, the last 4 songs, they're fine, and even then, they're not bad. The only song that I genuinely do not like is Masterpiece, and it just doesn't really work. Keegan's voice is a little overdubbed, and it just doesn't quite work for me. But honestly, even the songs that I think are mediocre does not mean they are bad, because I really do enjoy this album. Each member is extremely talented on their respective instrument, and despite 4 songs just not being quite up to par, it doesn't matter because they had 7 songs that were incredible and blew this album out of the water. It blew my expectations out of the water, and yes, obviously in a rating I can't ignore those 4 songs, but when you have 7 such solid songs, yeah, they definitely deserve all the praise I'm giving and all the recommendation I have for this album. STARCRUISER is incredible. I really do enjoy it. They made me eat my words. And after not really thinking Masterpiece was going to be good and thinking this was going to be an approach I really would not like, yeah, I was completely wrong. This album is great, and I really do recommend it. Unfortunately, for the 4 songs, I still can't give it a perfect score, so 8.5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. What did you think of this album? Please let me know down below. Is there anything I can do to improve the quality of my videos or any upcoming albums that you'd like me to check out? Please let me know again down below. Also, I do have a Twitter if you want to check out my Twitter. I mainly just kind of either comment on music, run polls, or just review albums I don't actually have time to put out my full thoughts on. I did put my thoughts on the new Eminem album on there. So yeah, go check it out if you want. Besides that, thank you guys so incredibly much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.